Here to discuss the Supreme Court decision and the crisis at our southern border. Former acting ICE Director Tom Homan, along with former DHS advisor Charles Marino. Gentlemen, thanks to you both for joining us. First, I'd like to play a couple of sound bites. One is the president's reaction to the Supreme Court decision, and then we're going to hear the reaction of a congressman-elect, Corey Mills from Florida.
The reaction is the court is not going to decide until June, apparently, and in the meantime, we have to enforce it. But I think it's overdue.
This almost appears to be the status quo of the Biden administration, whether it's Biden going to the Caribbean during a time of this cyclone bomb and our open borders. The real problem here is just that they don't want to address the issue. We have seen that time and time again, where our migrant insurgents, have just come across and violated American sovereignty.
Tom, first, in terms of what's likely to happen on the ground in the immediate aftermath of this decision, Title 42 stays in place. The government can continue to refuse people based on the COVID health emergency justification who are seeking asylum. But I'm wondering, is the fact that this is going to be around for a while, do you think there may be some good news in terms of the maybe less chaos at the border? I know a lot of people had gathered there in anticipation that perhaps this was going to be lifted. Would you expect any relief in the next few days?
Well, look, having Title 42 will help the Border Patrol a little, but we need to understand the Biden administration has never implemented Title 42 the way it's supposed to be. From day one, this administration has carved out a lot of people. They carved out family groups. They carved out unaccompanied children. They carved out people from Venezuela and Cuba. But if you look at the total numbers on the CBP website, they've released a lot more people in the United States than they returned through Title 42. What I expect is some of these people waiting for Title 42 to be lifted, they're not going to keep waiting. So rather than turn themselves over to the Border Patrol to maybe be subject to Title 42, they're going to be in new gotaways. They're going to wait till the cartel says a big group across, ties the Border Patrol assets up, and they're going to cross and get away. They're not going to sit in Mexico forever. So some will, but most won't.
Okay, Charles, this is kind of an ongoing theme where there are laws in place, Title 42 related to a public health emergency, but obviously a lot of other laws pre-COVID that existed to enforce our immigration and our border. Do you see any sign in Washington that a new Republican Congress is motivating the White House to seek solutions, to reach across the aisle, to work on how you end this chaos?
Well, considering that all this was done on purpose by the Biden administration to walk away from their federal responsibilities to secure the border and enforce immigration laws, and, oh, by the way, protect the national security of this country and the safety and security of the American public, I would say the only way a Republican Congress can conquer that is to go after the money. Go after the budgets of DHS, go after the overseas funding to the regional partners. Look, if we need Mexico to take action and help provide a solution to slow this down, the Northern Triangle, we're going to have to go after all of these international funds. And I fear that Congress is not prepared for how tough they're actually going to have to be to get this White House to move on this.
Tom, we heard a lot during the Trump administration about a deep state, government employees resisting the White House's policies. I'm wondering in this case, given that it seems that the White House policy contradicts with federal law, is there room for the rank and file that we hear so much about being frustrated to do their jobs to enforce the law, regardless of whether the White House is saying don't enforce the law?
Look, I think the Border Patrol agents, I started my career as a Border Patrol agent. There are 20,000 patriots to this country. I think they're going to continue to show up to work, do the best they can, but they're looking for relief. They're looking for instance, okay, if Title 42 is going to be a controversial issue, then put in remain in Mexico. And I talked to hundreds of them. What they're waiting for is Republicans to take control of the House. And like your last, the gentleman just spoke before me, now they control the purse strings. So they can affect the money. But more importantly, they can conduct oversight hearings. They can subpoena the right people and the right information. Call Secretary Mayorkas in and ask him and provide the evidence through subpoenas. And there's going to be a lot of damning information coming out. So you got, what, 24 Democrat congressmen running for Congress in 2024 that are in battleground states that Trump won. They're going to see the evidence, and they're going to have to pick a side. So I'm hoping once they see the evidence, they can't ignore it anymore, and maybe some of these Democrats come over to the border security side and actually force the White House to do something. I'm hoping oversight hearings will give us some of that. And the Border Patrol agents are counting on that.
Yeah, and I would hope at some point, Charles, the White House would realize the opportunity here, not just for them politically to benefit, but look, if we don't have chaos, we could actually use a lot of these people could be wonderful new Americans ready to work hard and contribute. We just can't have this lawlessness. Tom was just talking about Secretary Mayorkas. My impression is that he is not the main problem, that Joe Biden is the problem. And if you had leadership at the White House, the department could act and would act to carry out that policy. Is that your impression, or does oversight really need to go much deeper and a problem beyond the White House?
Look, Secretary Mayorkas is carrying out the direction of the administration and the president. That's apparent. But Ali Mayorkas also leads the largest law enforcement department in the United States. So based on that and based on the actions that he has and hasn't taken, he's lost all credibility within the department, within the largest gun-carrying population in the United States. And all these law enforcement officers, the men and women, are tired of being thrown under the bus. You've got CBP that's been hung out to dry. You've got the other law enforcement components within DHS that are just waiting their turn, seeing what happened to CBP. And look, the bottom line is the emperor has no clothes. Everybody realizes that this administration, even if they wanted to take some actions, are too incompetent to solve this problem. You could see it in the dissent of Justice Gorsuch in the Supreme Court, where he said, look, we're here to interpret the law. We're not here as policymakers because the executive branch can't do their job.
Okay, Tom, we got to go, but I just wanted to give you a shot at that one as well. If the president decided tomorrow to enforce the law and also seek a rational policy along with both parties in Congress, do you get optimistic, or you think there remains a big leadership problem at DHS?
This isn't mismanagement. This isn't incompetence. This is by design. This is open borders. This is what they want. Secretary Mayorkas needs to be impeached. I don't care if he's taking direction from the White House or not. He's the Secretary of Homeland Security. If this is a national security issue, resign and protest. But he has no integrity. He needs to be impeached. Bottom line.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you, Tom. Homan and Charles Marino.